Hello and welcome to haQ attaQ. My name is Jakob, I'm your host and you're watching a haQ attaQ episode. This is Gadget and what you just heard is a drum and bass track I'm working on. I make a lot of drum and bass. I don't publish it, I make it mostly for my own use. Something I listen to when I do the dishes, cleaning or out taking a walk. I absolutely love drum and bass and making it inside Gadget is a lot of fun because there's so many gadgets now, and since the latest update the effect slot has had an infusion of effects and processors that makes producing even more fun. So what I want to do is I want to go through a track and show you my production tricks. So what we're going to start with in this episode, we're going to go into the drums, and the drums are being made by two gadgets. So let's have a listen. Let's solo out Bilbao and have a listen to just that. I've used a drum loop that comes from a LOOPMASTERS sample pack called Vintage Breaks Volume 1. If you're a drum and bass head like me, then you should really check that sample pack out. So what I've done is I've cut up this sample into these three. And then I've simply arranged a pattern. Now let's jump out of here and have a look at London. And together they make up a very cool loop. Now it's important to make stuff fit into a track, and I'm talking frequencies here, so I do use a lot of equalizer when I work. And if we have a look at London, I don't have any effects in here, and that's because I'm kind of satisfied with how the drums are sounding inside London. Bilbao, on the other hand, is playing a sample that is pretty rich in frequencies, and one thing I didn't want it to do is to fight with the London drums in the lower registries. So the first equalizer here is what I used to shape the sound into what I wanted. I'll turn off these. So let's A/B this. There's a lot of frequencies I've filtered off, so we're gonna take a look at the equalizer. We go down to the low end. Now, it's got a certain Q slope to it already, and you can't change the Q slope. You can only do that on the mid registries. So I set the knob at 563 hertz, and then I've turned it down minus 7.4 decibels. Now, if we look at the mid range here, this is where it looks strange because the low end is supposed to filter off the low end. But if we look at what I've done with the mid registries here, you can see that I've set this one to 300 hertz, and that's lower than the low one. And then I've set it down to minus 10.3 decibels. So I've filtered off quite a lot. And you can clearly hear that. I've also got a really sharp slope on that point. So I've used these two to remove the low end and some of the mids that I didn't like. So let's A/B the equalizer while listening to the bass, the London drums, and of course the loop. By filtering off those frequencies, I'm making sure that the bass material inside the London drum is more dominant. But I've been careful not to make this loop too flat. It still has a lot of character in the mids and the upper registries, and I just wanted to keep the energy from this breakbeat to make it feel like the track has some real speed in it. Now, some of you might be wondering why there is another London gadget here being muted, and that's because I'm using that for the sidechain compression on almost every channel after the drums. And I'm using the sidechain compression to duck the volume when the London bass drum hits. I've copied the bass drums inside the main London drum gadget, and so I put them into another London gadget, and I always set this on channel 1, so then when you load up the sidechain compressor, it's easy to just set it to a track to listen to. And I mute it because I don't need double bass drums playing in my track. And even though the gadget is muted, the sidechain compression unit still listens to it. This way, I'm allowing the bass drum inside the London gadget to be dominant when it hits, so that I get a punchy feel in my track. Well, that's mainly what I've done with the drum part. In the next episode, we're gonna go into the bass material. Please tell me in the comment section if you find this interesting. Thank you so much for watching. All comments and ratings are very much appreciated. I've got a Patreon site if you want to support me in that way. You can see the address right here, and you can also find it down in the description together with an app link for KORG Gadget if you haven't gotten it yet. I can't even recommend Gadget enough. It's an awesome tool. As usual, I wish you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it.